We're at the slipway with this Trophy 1802 Walkaround. This is a 2006 boat powered by a Mercury 115 115 horsepower Optimax outboard, and that outboard is fitted with a 3-blade aluminium propeller. It's a Black Max, Mercury Black Max prop, and it is 17-inch pitch. So this is we're doing shooting a virtual sea trial video for the buyer today. So this boat is sale agreed and under offer, but I always like to publish these videos to your YouTube channel as well, because people, maybe if you're researching this model or you're buying a similar boat with that engine, we'll show you how fast this boat goes, what sort of how long it takes to plane, what speed it cruises at. Just give you a bit more information on how this boat performs. So we're launched now, we're on the water and we're tootling out of the marina here, so I'll just walk you through the dashboard as we're doing that. So the gear shift is nice and smooth. Forward gear, back to neutral, reverse, neutral, forward. Steering, it's Baystar hydraulic steering, so it's super light, finger light steering, so really nice hydraulic steering on this. We have our rev counter, so RPMs. We've got our fuel gauge in the middle of the dash, and then we have our speedo. So that's boat speed just via the speedo, the pedo sensor on the transom. We also have our GPS chart plotter, which is acquired signal, and if we go in here, we'll just leave this on data. Leave that on data, because this will give us our GPS speed, a nice big number, picked up position and stuff. This is our depth readout here, 3.8 meters. That's water temperature. Not too sure what's going on, what kind of way that display is configured, but that's our depth. Better pay attention where I'm going. And VHF radio there as well. So steering is nice and light, controls are nice, idling nicely, good strong water telltale as well. And we'll just tootle out through the channel here. Once we get out of the marina, we'll open it up. So this is seated position here. This is me sitting at the helm. I'm looking sort of straight through the center of the screen and get a good wee bit of protection from the wind here as well. I've taken down the covers just because it's better for visibility. And then if I want to stand at the helm, you're looking over the top of the bow. Okay, so we'll idle on out and then we'll put her on the plane. So 1500 RPM here, we'll just bring it up to about 1500 RPM. We're doing just under 4 knots, or yeah, just around about 4 knots there. And we're not creating any wake. So if you're just tootling along, no wake, that's the kind of speed you'll be doing. Okay, and now we will get our nose into the wind, trim her fully down, so we're trimmed fully in for getting up on plane. Well, here we go. That's us on the plane. So bags of power there, it's up on plane in a few seconds. And that's us. If I throttle back here to, let's bring her back to 3,600 RPM. That's going to be a fairly economical cruising speed. So that's us, what is it, 3,700 RPM. We're doing 15 knots over the ground. We're just indicating about 18 miles an hour, just a hair under 20 miles an hour on the boat speed. 16 knots, it's tracking in a straight line, the throttle is staying where I left it. Just the door's doing a wee bit of rattling, let's close the door. the tide's coming in, so that means we have a bit of current flowing this way. So we were running against the current a minute ago, now we're running with the current. That's us going back over our wake. Let's bring her back a wee bit, 3,800 RPM. So with the current we're doing 19 knots actually, 18.5 knots. Let's bring it up to 4,200 RPM, trim the engine out a wee touch. There's 4,200 RPM, and that's about 20 knots. 24 miles an hour, just over 20 knots, 4,200 RPM. Now let's do a full speed run here. That's 6,000 RPM. 30 knots. Okay, so top speed there was 30 knots. The tacho was creeping up to 6,000 or maybe even a wee bit over 6,000 RPM, which is where I think the rev limiter is set. So I just backed it off ever so slightly, kept it like 5,800 RPM. And you know, we didn't really notice any drop off in speed. Obviously that prop, that 17 pitch prop, is kind of low enough gearing so it gets the boat up on plane quickly. But it does mean that you're just touching, you know, max RPM. You could potentially go for a 19 pitch prop if you want to keep the RPM down away from that maximum. But in saying that, the boat is lightly loaded. It's only me on board. Fair enough, there's a full tank of fuel, but if you put 3 or 4 guys on board, you probably find that you won't hit that 6,000 RPM anyway. So maybe that's why it's got the 17 on it, just to give you the punchy performance even with a full load on board. I mean, if you're conscious of it, you can just make sure you back it off before you max out the revs. But there's definitely no shortage of power here, performance. It's up on plane really quickly. It'll cruise anywhere from sort of 16, 17 knots up to maybe 20, 25 knots. And you're probably not going to use max RPM, maximum throttle, that often anyway, but just something to be conscious of with that 17 pitch prop. But good all-round performance on the plane in a heartbeat. So if you did want to do a bit of water skiing or something with it, you could. It's definitely getting on plane really quickly. Really nice, you know, 3,500 RPM is what was it, 17 or 18 knots whenever you average out the runs in both directions. And top speed of 30 knots is really respectable as well. You just need to be careful not to totally leave it wide open throttle because it will be coming on that rev limiter. But yeah, really good running boat. The steering's lovely, the controls are nice and light. There's a good strong telltale on it. And the boat is running really well. So we'll put her back on plane again. We'll just do a nice gradual acceleration onto the plane this time to show you how that works. We'll trim her fully down. We'll take her up to like 19 or 20 knots and chuck her about a few turns and stuff. So we'll not give it a full throttle. We'll just put her half throttle or so there. And we're up and away. We're running around about 4,000 RPM. I'd say it's going to be your economical running rev range, and you're not stressing the engine out or anything. We're still doing 19 knots. Heels over through the turns nicely. She'll run all day at this kind of speed. Just over 4,000 RPM, 19 knots into the current and the wind. And it is choppy enough out here actually. And it's just bombing through it nicely. Take her off the plane. So there you go, that's how this Trophy 1802 Walkaround runs with the Mercury 115 horsepower Optimax engine with a 17 pitch 3-blade prop. It's on the plane in a matter of 2 or 3 seconds, so enough power for pulling water toys and skiers if you wanted to. If you've got like 4 or 5 people on board, 4 or 5 of your buddies, you're heading out fishing, it'll still get up on plane quickly with that kind of a full load on board. Cruising speed is around 18 to 20 knots at in around 4,000 RPM, which is going to be a fairly economical speed to run at. And then top end on this one, if we just hold it back off 6,000 RPM, we're doing like 30 knots. So really good all-round performance. Hydraulic steering's lovely, controls, everything are good. So that's how this Trophy 1802 Walkaround runs with the Mercury 115 Optimax. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video. I hope you found it useful.